Welcome to this lesson about key action number 5, staying focused. Henry Emerson Fosdick once said, "No horse gets anywhere until it is harnessed. No steam or gas ever drives anything until it is confined. No Niagara is ever turned into light and power until it is tunneled." Now I think he was talking about focusing energy to produce something useful, don't you? The workplace is a place where energy is spent, but it's becoming more complex, and maintaining focus is more complicated than ever. Numerous distractions compete for people's time and resources. Check your focus by regularly asking if your actions contribute to your most important goals. Focusing means you must determine to keep your most important goals in front of you and focus on your priorities. Begin by, number 1, assessing your current work patterns. Before increasing your productivity, assess how you currently spend your time. You might want to keep an activities log or a record of work you've accomplished during the week or month. In addition, record incomplete assignments and missed deadlines. Note your lapses as well as your accomplishments. Increasing focus means you must develop an action plan to improve your efficiency. Part of your plan to increase focus includes what number 2 in your guide instructs: learning to say no. Now, saying no can be difficult, especially if teamwork and cooperation are highly valued. Only you know what is on your to-do list and the impact one more task would have on your priorities. So learn to say no when you have a more important yes. If a new request has a lower priority than what you already have to do and you have no available time, say no firmly but politely. Explain why you can't take on another commitment. If you don't think you can produce quality work on a new task or an assignment in the expected time, say so. People will respect your honesty and commitment to high work standards. When possible, offer alternative suggestions for how the need might be met. Increasing focus involves, number 3, using planning tools as reminders for future events and deadlines. It is nearly impossible for people to remember everything they must do and when they're supposed to do it. So planning tools are excellent for creating reminders for appointments and deadlines. Here are some helpful hints for preventing commitments from slipping through the cracks. Use a calendar, to-do list, ticker file, reminder on your cell phone, or scheduling software. Create an assignment tracking system. Keep a log of when an assignment or order was received, who assigned or ordered it, what deadlines and time commitments were set up, and when the assignment or order was completed. Use checklists to track activities that need to be accomplished to complete an assignment. As you complete the activity, check it off your list and see what comes next. Add any task you're unable to complete to the list for the next day. Schedule 10 minutes at the end of the day to review your to-do list and plan tasks for the following day. Review your calendar for upcoming deadlines. Resolve conflicting deadlines by considering their alignment with organizational, departmental, and personal goals. At the beginning of each day, review your schedule and to-do list for that day and the week. This will keep you focused and ensure that your decisions about new demands are consistent with your priorities and deadlines. Increasing focus requires, number 4, avoiding interruptions. The quality and quantity of your work will improve when you have time to concentrate without interruptions. When activities require total concentration, schedule time to complete them. Let others know that this time is booked and you don't want to be disturbed. Commit to the scheduled quiet time despite the temptations of other activities like phone calls or unplanned conversations. Consider moving to a designated place, such as a conference room, library, or other quiet place to avoid distractions. To avoid interruptions in your workflow, ensure you have the information and materials you need before beginning work on a task. If you have direct reports, schedule regular update meetings with each person to answer questions and delegate assignments. To keep meetings on track, keep a file for each associate of discussable items. Regularly scheduled meetings with them will help avoid frequent interruptions. Now, despite your best planning, some interruptions from drop-in visitors are impossible to avoid. So if someone stops by when you're in the middle of something, stand to communicate that the conversation will be quick. Then explain your time constraints. Ask if the discussion can wait and schedule a follow-up. Some people have difficulty focusing on a task for an extended period of time without creating distractions such as daydreaming, staring out the window, socializing, and so on. Now, if this sounds like you, try breaking down the tasks into smaller parts and taking planned breaks. Then, gradually work for longer periods before taking breaks. Number 5 in your guide instructs us to spend time organizing our work environment. Calvin Coolidge once said, "The only difference between a mob and a trained army is organization." Organizing your work environment to allow easy access to information and materials prevents barriers to workflow and minimizes distractions. The following hints will increase your productivity and cut the time you spend searching for information and materials. So organize your work area. Start there and move out. Barbara Hemphill says, "Clutter is nothing more than postponed decisions." So clear off work surfaces and make drawers easily accessible. Don't use work surfaces for storage. Use them only for working on your current activity or project. Throw away or get rid of what you don't need. Use baskets, out baskets, file drawers, and folders to organize papers. Store your supplies and tools in drawers and not on work surfaces. Take a few minutes at the end of each day to clear off work surfaces and prepare for the next day. Organize access to information. Keep working files you frequently use close at hand and those you use only for references far away. File papers by your roles or projects. To improve your focus, post information you use regularly, such as telephone numbers, addresses, and account codes in a visible place. Most smartphones have the ability to create lists, notes, and folders for easy and quick access, but like anything else, you must have a system for finding them. Keep a record of the information you receive from others so you don't have to request it again. A good idea is to document past decisions and information that others will need again. Prepare a reference manual that contains frequently used information. Categorize your computer files in separate directories and subdirectories, and use self-explanatory names for them. Use contact management software to automate your customer or client files. This software stores contacts' names, addresses, phone numbers, and notes from previous discussions and action items. Then, instead of searching through paper files, you can quickly access customer and client information in the database. Organize materials and supplies. Remember, you can't do it if you can't find it. Make a list of all materials and supplies that you always need and those you need only for specific tasks. Allow 5 minutes at the end of each day to ensure you have everything you need for the next morning. Make sure all tools, equipment, or software are working correctly. Organize supplies, materials, and information so people can access them easily. And be sure to let others know where the materials and information are kept so they can find them on their own. Focusing means we must handle paperwork effectively. Don't read everything you receive. Zig Ziglar said, "The result of information overload is usually a distraction, and it dilutes your focus and takes you off your game. So keep in mind that scanning will give you the essence of most memos, newsletters, articles, and reports. Don't feel compelled to read every word. Scan the contents first. Decide which parts are most relevant and skip the rest. Eliminate unnecessary paperwork. If you're receiving unnecessary reports or mail, take your name off or unsubscribe to the mailing list. If you generate reports for others, make sure they really need them. Many reports are routed to people based on tradition rather than on need. Act on an item as soon as you receive it. If paperwork requires a quick response, take care of it immediately. If it requires delegation, delegate it. Don't waste time adding an item to your to-do list, prioritizing it, sorting it, and then reading it again. By taking immediate action, you can prevent unnecessary clutter and concentrate on your priorities. If you cannot act on paperwork immediately, don't waste time looking at it. Designate a time when you can complete the paperwork and put it in an appropriate area. For some, focusing requires using technology efficiently. Technology is an amplifier. The first rule of technology automation is that any automated technology applied to an efficient process will magnify the efficiency. The second rule is that automation applied to inefficient processes will magnify the inefficiency. Technology is intended to help you get more done in less time, but it must be managed wisely. Information overload can be avoided if you develop strategies to deal with it. Otherwise, you'll spend too much time sending, receiving, and storing information rather than using the information to achieve your goals. Remember this as you organize your technology. A. Manage computer files. Organize your files into directories. Searching for files or recreating them eats up time. Delete files that are no longer useful. Keep blank forms or spreadsheets you use often in a separate directory. Organize your computer files in categories similar to your paper files. For example, if you have paper files for each region, create regional subdirectories for your computer files, and be sure to back up your files regularly. B. Manage phone calls and voicemail. Incoming phone calls can shatter your concentration and lower your efficiency. Most phone calls are not urgent and can be handled later. Depending on your responsibilities, you might not even have to take every phone call that comes in. Here are some useful tips for managing phone calls. Schedule time slots for receiving and returning phone calls. For long-distance phone calls, choose time slots that will work for all relevant time zones. If other people are screening calls and taking messages for you, ensure they gather complete information including the caller's full name, phone number, the reason for calling, and when he or she will be available for a return call. Complete messages help you prepare for an efficient return call. If you have voicemail or an answering service, ensure your outgoing message asks for complete information from the caller. And avoid playing phone tag. If the person you call isn't available, find out when he or she will be available and call back then. When leaving a message, specify why you're calling and when you'll be available to receive a return call. Then, be sure you are available and prepared for a return call. Unless a two-way conversation is necessary, save time by leaving information on voicemail instead of calling the person directly. Here are some other helpful hints when dealing with phone calls. Try to address each voicemail only once. Respond immediately to urgent and important messages and listen only when you're ready to respond for non-urgent and unimportant messages. If someone else can better handle a message, forward it immediately. Listen and respond to the majority of your messages during a planned time of the day. Be concise but thorough when responding to messages. This prevents you from following up with a second message. Record messages in your calendar if you need to follow up or refer to the information later. Manage text messages and email. Try to deal with each text message or email you receive only once. Skim the message and decide if it's relevant. If it's not, delete it immediately. Decide if the message requires action or should be stored for reference. If action is required, try to act on it immediately. If immediate action is not possible, save the message and add the action to your to-do list, ranking it with the rest of your priorities. Avoid printing messages when possible. They only add to your paper clutter. If your computer application allows you to create file folders for storage, organize important emails in directories similar to your computer and paper files. Don't check your email every time you receive a new message. If your computer has a beeper that alerts you to incoming messages, consider turning it off. Handle your email messages in batches 2 or 3 times a day. People usually don't expect an immediate response when they communicate via email. If there is an urgent need or matter, they will call. Use PIM, or Personal Information Software. Use PIM software to electronically store and link information from your daily planner, address cards, and business cards. PIM software typically performs both time management and contact management functions. PIMs help you to keep your to-do list, appointments, and meeting schedules. It gives you immediate access to names, address, and phone numbers. It lets you keep notes on your clients, projects, and direct reports. Some examples of PIMs are Outlook, Community Church Builder, Pemberley, PIM, Plotex, and Propel. This wraps up the 5 keys of planning and organizing. Let's summarize before we move on to the off-key actions that we should avoid. To effectively plan and organize, we must prioritize, determine tasks and resources, create and make use of schedules, learn the importance of leveraging resources, and finally, we must understand the importance of staying focused. I'll join you in the next lesson where we'll discuss actions we should avoid. We call those behaviors off-key actions.